Now, there's no doubt about it that a couple of months ago, when the Obi-Wan Kenobi TV show debuted on Disney Plus back in May of this year, a lot of Star Wars fans gave it a lot of criticism, and for the right reasons. I mean, a lot of fans out there had valid points as to why this show was so heavily flawed at times by Joby Harold and Deborah Chow. This is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you are new to the channel for future Star Wars updates. Also, by the way, guys, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you also very much for the kind support. It is greatly appreciated. Now, one thing about the new Star Wars universe is that it's all about Disney executives trying their absolute best to really create a proper roadmap of the Star Wars franchise. Basically, what they are preparing to do right now is to really give the fans a lot of Star Wars legends back in action. They're going to be having Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni really providing a lot of the Legends stories from the 1990s and the 2000s to return into the Disney canon. So that's another thing to look forward to. However, when it all dwindles down to the Obi-Wan Kenobi TV show, a lot of fans have been very curious about how Disney's going to handle the second season, and we talked about this before in the past couple of weeks, give or take now. It is moving forward very slowly. It's coming together. Ewan McGregor actually got the call from Disney executives to keep it quiet, to lie about his involvement, and basically he has to lie again, as just he did with the Kenobi series for 3 whole years. Now, on top of all of this, what's even all the more exciting has a lot to do with the fact of how Disney's going to be handling the second season of the Obi-Wan Kenobi TV show, and if you even want to call it a second season at that. We'll get into this in just a second. So, with that being said, on top of all of this, with Disney and Lucasfilm getting ready to make some very big announcements at this year's Disney Plus Day and D23 event, they also have Celebration 23 that will hold the even bigger reveals for the fans. It's described that currently one of the big Star Wars projects in the early development stage is said to be the second season of Obi-Wan Kenobi, Season 2. However, the overall plan by Lucasfilm is to create a plan to treat the upcoming season as a reboot of the Kenobi TV show in a sense. Now, currently, Disney executives are said to be coming up with a plan to reboot the Kenobi series that will still hold connections to the first season in a very detailed way. Now, Lucasfilm is looking to making it a soft reboot in a sense, where it will still pick up after the events of the first season. However, the second season will not acknowledge anything about the first one and the events that happened in the show. Characters like Leia, Reva, and others will not be mentioned or even seen in the upcoming new season of Obi-Wan Kenobi. Additionally, Lucasfilm is already preparing to create another final duel between both Obi-Wan and Vader that will be more dramatic, with a higher budget, and they are planning to take, of course, this in different routes, and will use many of the storyboards from the Kenobi movie trilogy by Stuart Beattie that will be used for the Kenobi reboot. Now, this soft reboot of the series is said to also feature more flashbacks of Anakin Skywalker and Obi-Wan during the events of the Clone Wars to keep the story flowing. Now, this new episode, of course, the new episodes are said to focus more so on Luke during his time on Tatooine and how Kenobi is situated on that planet. The only connection that the new season will have with the first one is the appearance of Qui-Gon Jinn training Kenobi, which will be a big focus in the upcoming new episodes. So let me just stop right here for 1 second. Now, the thing about this too that I think a lot of fans need to be aware of is that everybody had a lot of criticism over the Kenobi show, and basically Disney responded to this in a very specific way. Disney was really trying to push the whole Reva narrative at the time. This was more so actually pushed by Kathleen Kennedy, believe it or not. And a lot of fans just did not like the character of Reva because of how poorly she was written. In fact, even Stuart Beattie, the original writer of the Kenobi movie trilogy, came out and said that he did not like the way that they did Reva, and he did not like the way that they actually handled her fate. She was supposed to actually die at the very end of the story, giving Darth Vader proper character development, showing us exactly how ruthless he really is during the events of the Kenobi show, where now you have a version of Vader that's more willing to spare somebody's life, which we have not really seen, before in live action form. Now, of course, when you look at something like this, alright, this is where things begin to really pick up, is that given that Stuart Beatty wanted Darth Vader to be ruthless and not so forgiving of a character that betrays him to such a degree like Reva did, however, Ewan McGregor and Hayden have already had conversations with Disney executives about all of this, and that both Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni will be joining this project that currently has no release date, but a script is planned to begin sometime next year, with Filoni and Favreau becoming the writers of the show. Disney specifically wanted nothing to do with Joby Harold and Deborah Chow in the new Star Wars series. Disney already is planning on having the Kenobi reboot shot in real locations instead of inside of a studio for the most part, in order to make the scenes appear more realistic for the fans. George Lucas, surprisingly, is described to also be involved as a supervisor that will look over the show specifically, and that he will also be involved as a co-writer for some of the episodes of the Kenobi reboot for the show, and the Star Wars community to enjoy. Now, Disney is still undecided if they even want to call this thing a Season 2, given that it will be treated as a soft reboot. Disney is currently debating giving this a brand new title for the entirety of the new Star Wars TV show. So, the thing about this that I think a lot of fans need to be very well aware of is that we already know that everything related between Ewan McGregor and Hayden is that they had the time of their lives coming back to the Kenobi show, right? It's just very unfortunate that it got a lot of criticism, it got a lot of backlash by the fans, and let's just face it, a lot of that had to do with the fact that, number one, Kathleen Kennedy had a big hand in the Kenobi series because she held a contract with the Kenobi trilogy, and number two, we had Joby Harold involved as a writer, who, by the way, admitted that he never watched Revenge of the Sith from start to finish when he was writing the show. It wasn't until after he actually completed the series, when it was all shot, edited, and marketed, and released, that he actually watched Episode 3 all the way through. And I think that goes to show you a lot about Kathleen Kennedy. I mean, the same exact thing goes for Leslie Headland. Even she herself stated that she has never seen all of the prequel trilogy movies, through and through. And this is exactly the type of people that Kathleen Kennedy hires. They all seem to be people that don't necessarily know anything about Star Wars to the core. So, on top of all of this, alright, with the Kenobi reboot now advancing and becoming a reality with Favreau and Filoni involved as writers, we also have, of course, George Lucas able to join as a co-writer. There's a lot of developments happening with this, and we're going to be learning a lot more about this project in 2023. Again, they're debating on giving it a completely different title. For all we know, it could be something completely different than the title of Obi-Wan Kenobi, and it could be something of its own that's going to be used as a soft reboot in a sense. That's their overall aim right now. So, I don't know what you guys have to say about this. What do you think about soft reboots? I mean, we've seen this countless times in the film industry, in both TV shows and movies. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.